Your intros get better. Thank you very much. I always have trouble with this little microphone here. It feels like a little linguine from last night's dinner or something. I just can't get used to it. Great audience. Good morning. Many of you have come here this morning because you've been touched one way or another personally, perhaps a member of your family or someone you know dealing with homosexuality. And it's very difficult for many of you to have taken the first step of showing up here this morning and having to look at this issue. What I want to do is present some outlines of the causes of homosexuality. This is about education. This is not about blame. I have worked with many, many parents, none of whom ever wanted their child to have a homosexual problem, but certain patterns emerged, and that's basically what I want to do. I want to show you basic patterns, and it's up to you to decide how much of this applies to your life, either as a parent or someone who's going through this. It's been my privilege, as John has said, to have worked with over 1,000 homosexual men. This is what we do primarily. I've worked with over 100 families who are concerned about their children. Many other psychologists in my profession do not want to touch this subject, do not want to deal with this population because they are intimidated. For me, it's a great satisfaction to work with men and women, especially men primarily, which is my focus, to work with these individual men and have them realize a dream of overcoming something that's been problematic to them and to fulfill their dream and be attracted to the opposite sex, to get married, and to have families. I'd like to begin, basically, by saying, first of all, that homosexuality is not a sexual problem, it's a gender identity problem. Homosexuality is not about sex, it's about a person's sense of self, it's his basic sense of gender. Homosexual behavior is always prompted by an inner sense of emptiness. It's not about sex. I like to go through the 4 gay myths that are being promoted in our culture. Number 1, 10% of the population is homosexual. This was promoted by Alfred Kinsey, 50 years ago. So from the 1950s all the way up for the last 50 years, Americans have been told that 10% of the population is homosexual, is gay. Not true. It's really about 1.5% to 2%. And there are many, many studies that support this. It turns out Kinsey himself, because he was homosexual, actually he was masochistically homosexual, had a vested personal interest in normalizing homosexuality. And the higher the percentage, the more normality, the more validity you give it. The second mythology is that you're born gay. People actually believe that there's a gay gene that has been discovered. No gene has been discovered. In 1991, the Simon LeVay study, presented some evidence that there was a gay brain and a gay biological foundation. None of those studies have been validated. None of them have been replicated. In fact, attempts to replicate these early claims have shown the opposite effect, have shown the opposite results. Gay activists, you may notice, have backed away from the biological genetic argument because it just hasn't seemed to hold up. The second mythology is once gay, always gay. And this is a fundamental belief that is being promoted by gay activists. And that's why whenever someone like John and many other people you'll be hearing here today, get up and tell their story of change, former gay men, former lesbians, it's a fundamental challenge to the gay ideology. Homosexuality is normal in every way. And that is the image that is being portrayed in the media, on television, in the movies. The gay character is typically the healthy, wholesome, preppy, satisfied, at peace with himself, except he's gay. But otherwise, he's just like a regular guy. Usually in the media, by the way, you'll notice it's the heterosexual guy that is portrayed as insecure and uncertain about his sexuality. If we can get people to believe 1, 2, 3, and 4, the result is total acceptance. And that is the gay agenda, to promote total acceptance of homosexuality as equal to heterosexuality. But we make the distinction between tolerance versus approval. And I think it's a very important distinction to make. And people get confused. They think that to be tolerant, you have to give approval.